Oh, it's just now. All right. So tonight, you guys, I'm going to be talking about social, all things social. The slides that I'm going to show you tonight are primarily focused around Instagram, but I don't want you to check out if you're like, oh, I'm not really an Instagram person, so this doesn't apply to me. It really does apply to all social media. I'll tell you the parts that don't apply to Facebook. Total transparency here. I am on both Instagram and Facebook, but I generate most of my business through Facebook, even 7.5 years later. Okay. So the things that I'm going to be telling you, again, they're going to look like I'm just talking about IG, Instagram, but I'm really talking about both. And if it's something that's specific only to Instagram, I will tell you. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share. And one of the first things I really want to say is that, let me move this down. One of the first things I really want to say is that without using social media, it is not that you cannot build a business like this, because guess what? There are a ton of other network marketing companies from years ago, the Amways, the Mary Kays of the world, tons and tons and tons of network marketing businesses that have been very successful, where people have built their business without the use of social media, primarily because they just didn't have it back in the day. But also, even now, there's a lot of companies that this still isn't their go-to. Social media isn't their go-to. However, when I joined Plexus, that was the thing. Like, that is what we kind of putting things out there on social and being free about it and not being kind of, I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, but one of the things that really turned me off about network marketing is that people would go on social media and they would be real, like, secretive about what they're doing. Like, they'd never say what company they're with. They'd never say what product. They'd never say what they're selling. They just always be talking about an opportunity and never about what they're actually offering people. And that always turned me off. I don't know about y'all, and you don't have to agree with me. That's totally fine, because these are my opinions. But that was always the thing that kind of like, that seems really salesy and gimmicky and catchy, and I never liked that. Okay. So I think one of the things that attracted me about Plexus when people shared Plexus is because it was like there's no secret. It's like, I'm talking to you about gut health. I'm talking about inflammation. I'm talking about blood sugar. I'm talking about my personal story and things that help to change my health. And so if I think they would change my health, then I think they would change your health. Now, caveat here, I don't think I would be that attracted to Plexus if Plexus was attaching itself to, if Plexus was selling candles, or Plexus was selling handbags, or Plexus was selling fingernail polish, or Plexus was selling Tupperware. And not that anything is wrong with those things, but I really got excited about sharing about health, because health is important to, should be important to everyone. And it personally affected my community in a big, big way. It personally affects my family in a big, big way, because again, you guys know my story. I lost my father early in life. I was not even 30 when I lost him. And so that was really what appealed to me about Plexus, because this is something that everyone needs. It's not really just a want. Does that make sense? So with that being said, when I first started sharing, I was really scared. I did not know what the heck I was doing. I did not have a lot of influence. I didn't have a lot of friends on Facebook. So as I'm going through this presentation tonight, I want you guys to understand that you can build this over time. It takes time. Okay. So don't think Rome wasn't built in a day. As my husband constantly saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, Robin. Because when we moved in this house, I like wanted the whole house to be decorated, wanted the backyard to be pristine in, like, the first 2 weeks. And he's like, Robin, Rome wasn't built in a day. You've got to think about this business as a legacy business, something that you can pass down and will to your family, because you can. Okay. So don't think, oh, I'm not getting the results that I'm looking for, and I've done this for 2 months. It's taken me years to be able to build something really sustainable with Plexus. And I've had a sustainable business for years, but something really sustainable where people naturally just come to me. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about each one of these questions. I have several slides I'm going to share with you. I did a training. I can't remember the name of the guy, but he is the son of a really, really famous, like, Instagram guru. And so these are some of the things that as I've watched and followed him over the years, I went to an in-person training that he did years, probably about 3 years ago, and with Bob Heilig. And these are some of the things that he has shared just over time. Okay. So one of the things is people ask about how important are hashtags and hashtags in general, and how important are hashtags on reels. I'm not going to do a whole training on reels because honestly, I don't know a lot about reels. Do I think it's something important if you're on Instagram, actively on Instagram, to know how to do? Yes, I do. But is it something that you need to get bogged down and get caught in the weeds, having to figure out reels if that's not your main source of sharing plexus? No, I do not think it's right now. I don't think it's worth your time, especially if you haven't gone through most of your warm market sharing on Facebook. Because this is the thing, people get really caught up because they're like, well, do I do Facebook? Do I do Instagram? Do I do both? I say you need to go to the outlet A that you've used the most since you, even before you started Plexus. So if you're mainly on Instagram, and since Dejan will probably disagree because it's a whole bunch of old fogies on here, but most of us on this call probably were on Instagram. I mean, probably on Facebook more, okay? Because older people are on Facebook, right? I mean, let's just face it. However, if you are trying to do both, there's nothing wrong with doing both. But if most of your warm market is on Facebook, which most of the time it is, focus on Facebook. Okay. I don't reinvent the wheel. So what I post on Facebook is what I post on Instagram. And I don't have a big Instagram following. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I have generated $1 million business, built $1 million business with having less than 2,000 followers on Instagram. So the moral of the story is, can you build something really sustainable without having 8, 10, 15,000 followers on Instagram? Absolutely you can. Okay. But you just got to get in where you fit in, and pick a horse and ride it. Okay. Find one horse and find one pony and ride that pony. Okay. Because if you get caught up in doing way too much and too many things all at once, you're going to be doing everything just kind of mediocre, or just a little bit effective and not fully effective. So hashtags are really important on Instagram. Most of the time, people put their hashtags in the first comment because if they don't want to get all of their actual caption all muddied up with a whole bunch of hashtags, you can only have a maximum of 30 hashtags. I think the reason why this guy says 28 hashtags is because a lot of times in your post, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, you might have a couple hashtags, 2 or 3, but then the rest of them on Instagram, you want to put in your comments. Okay. That's just a rule of thumb. Do I follow that rule every time? No, but it does make your post a little bit cleaner. Okay. And then he also talks about, if our feed needs to be one thing, can our stories be a huge variety, or a couple, or just a couple of topics? So this is the big thing with Instagram. If you're kind of thinking in your head, what's the difference between Instagram and Facebook? The biggest thing is Instagram, you are building rapport with a lot of people you don't know. Okay. Whereas Facebook is, you're basically building upon something with people that you have some sort of connection to. Okay. So Facebook is a little bit more friendly and more personal, whereas Instagram is a little bit different, because a lot of times the people that will begin following you are people that don't know you at all. So it really just depends on where you are in your business and what you're really truly trying to build. I think honestly, based on the number of people that are on this call tonight, or the people that I see that are on the call tonight, a lot of you are still brand new to Plexus. So I would focus most of my efforts on Facebook, but that's just my opinion. Okay. So whenever you decide that you're going to step into the Instagram waters, the best way to do it is not the way I do it. Because remember, I just told y'all that I post the same thing on Instagram as I do on Facebook. I do that just because I don't have enough time to be creating two different types of content. Okay. But one thing I will say is that one mistake that you shouldn't make, that I have made, is find your niche. And I could do a whole training on finding your niche, but you need to pick one thing that you really want to talk about on Instagram and stick with that one thing. Okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit later if we have time. But in your Instagram feeds, you want to really stick with that one niche. But in your stories, and this is not the same for Facebook. And Facebook, it can be personal, your niche, it can be lots of things, I think, in your feed, because these are people that care about you, people that know you typically, right? So they really want to know, what is Charmin talking about? What is Beth talking about? They want to know those things. Okay. But in Instagram, a lot of people that may follow you don't know you, so they don't care about that. So that's why you need to really stick with one thing, find that niche. Okay. But in your stories, that's really the opportunity for you to get really personal. So you can talk about really anything. If you follow me in my stories, I'll post a scripture a day. I'll post some fun quote a day. I will post some funny meme a day. I'll post what I'm cooking. I'll post what I got in the mail. I'll post tons of things, right? So that's really where people get to have a sneak peek into your life. That's the way I like to look at stories. A common mistake that I see people making a lot is their very sporadic activity in stories. So they'll post like one slide. Okay. And I call them slides. I don't know if there's a proper term for it. Someone can unmute themselves, someone that's a lot more tech savvy, and say, Robin, it's called something specific. Tell me what that is. But you all know what I mean in stories. It's like you go to the next thing. I call them slides, or the page, the story maybe. Is it called something specific, y'all? I can't see comments, so somebody would have to unmute themselves. But let's just call it a slide, okay?
I think it's a clip.
It's a clip. Oh yeah, it is, girl. It's a clip. Thank you, Jennifer. So that I see a lot of times people have one clip a day, and it's like, it's not bad, but it's not really getting you anywhere. You know what I mean? Like one clip a day is not really doing anything. So you might as well just not even do it, right? Because I think a lot of times people will click on your story, because a lot of times people will get notifications like Beth just updated her stories or added a new story, right? And you get that notification, and how like lackluster is it that you click on the person added a new story, and it's one thing, it's one clip. You're like, what the heck is this? What am I supposed to do with this? People like to see a progressive unfolding of a story. That's why they're called stories. So let them be personal. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about is, does the flow or aesthetic of your feed matter? Okay. So I don't know about y'all, but there's some of you that probably have heard or seen on Instagram. A lot of times when you look at a feed on Instagram, you can't really, it's different. It looks different on Facebook because it's like you're scrolling and you just see post after post after post. But if you look at someone's grid on their Instagram, it's like, these 4 different posts, and they're in this grid. They're in a grid. Do y'all see what I'm saying? When you're looking at someone's Instagram, how many of you have seen, and like every single picture on their grid is like similar? It all looks similar, even though it's all different, because it's like a similar tone, it's a similar filter that they're using. They're called presets, right? And I have seen so many people get caught up in what their grid looks like. Is it every other picture is a quote, or every other picture? And honestly, experts say that that stuff does not matter. So, and I'm going to talk about why I'm talking about these things, because I have seen a lot of times where people get caught in the weeds of social media, and they start thinking, oh, I'm working my business, I'm not bearing any fruit. And it's like, have you reached out to 10 people a day? Like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, but they're constantly in their stories. They're constantly posting. They're constantly creating new content. And it's not that you shouldn't create content. It's not that you shouldn't be posting, because you absolutely should be doing those things. But when that becomes your main thing, and that's the thing that you're focusing on the most, and a lot of times people get caught up in that because it's fun. Like if you're a creative person and you get a hold of how to do stories or how to do reels or how to do really great posts or polls and all that good stuff, a lot of times you'll get sucked into that because you're like, oh, this is fun. And it's sure as heck a lot more fun than reaching out to people, right? Because when you reach out to people, there's a possibility that they cannot respond, you get rejected, or the thought of you getting rejected. And so a lot of times we'll shy away from that. It's what I call, we don't eat the frog first. We'll do all the posting and all this, that, and the other, but we're not doing the follow-up. We're not doing the reach outs. We're not doing the planting of seeds. We're not building the relationships. And so that's what you've got to really figure out, is how to keep the main thing, but also incorporate some of these cool tips with social media. So the aesthetic and the look of your Instagram does not matter. Okay. Now, the next question is, how do you get over the fear of talking on camera? So a lot of times people will send me messages because I'll do a video in my stories. And I tend to do video in my stories a lot more than I just go live, because I get a pretty good amount of traction in my stories. Most of my business, honestly, is generated from my stories. So I feel like, okay, well, I'm going to go where I feel like the people are watching. The other thing is that I feel like I have a little bit more control of knowing who to reach out to, who to connect with more when I post in my stories consistently and post in there very well with good quality content. And guess why I think that? Because I actually can see who's watching them. With your post, there's no way you can see who's watching your post. You don't know. There could be 500 people watching your post, but you only get 30 likes, right? So you only need to know who's willing to take the take the chance or take the opportunity or just be kind enough to like or love your post or even comment on your post. But with stories, I can see every single person that's looking at them. So guess what? That gives me, it helps me to see, okay, it's fair game. I can reach out to this person and start creating or forming a rapport with this person if I don't already have a rapport. And eventually, in a couple of weeks, I can reach out to that person about plexus because we I know that they know that I do plexus if they're all in my stories because I'm posting about plexus and other things every single day in my stories. That makes sense. So when I do these videos or whatever, do these stories, these clips that Jennifer's saying, when I do these clips that where I'm recording myself and I'm talking, and I'm here to admit to you guys, I need to do more of this in my stories. It honestly just depends on the day, depends on how I look, depends on, if I'm in the mood, whatever. And so I need to really make a commitment to myself that I will do more videos in my stories, even though I do them fairly frequently, but I need to do them more. One of the things that I used to do before I, got enough courage to do them on a regular basis and not be afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. And really the biggest way to get over the fear is to do it. To do it and then do it again because you're going to figure, oh, I didn't die. And oh, I didn't sound that bad. So practice on a platform where you have zero followers. So, a tip for you, years and years ago, before Instagram was a thing, I had an Instagram account years ago, but I had like no followers. Like I didn't want any followers because I would really just use Instagram to filter my pictures because I thought Instagram back in the day had really nice filters, whereas now you have those filters on your phone. So I had zero followers on Instagram, but I would post things and I would just have it for myself because I was really trying to just edit pictures within Instagram. This was like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So you do the same thing. One of the things that I would recommend that you do is either record yourself on your own phone, right? I would record yourself in Facebook Messenger. I do that sometimes when I'm about to reach out to a person and I maybe it's something that's a little bit fishy that I'm talking about with them. Let's just say it's a person that they're a difficult customer, right? They always want to complain and oh, I got heartburn because of plexus or whatever. People just be making up stuff, okay? And so I'm like, okay, let me see how I can say this with, some class and not be bootleg and say something crazy to them because they're on my last nerve. And so I'll like record myself. You can send yourself clips on Messenger. So I go to Robin Consultant and I'll send myself clips on Messenger to make sure I say it right because I don't want to have to unsend something. You can unsend stuff on Messenger, but that's kind of suspect. So I send it to myself first. So these are ways that you can start practicing. I suggest you video record yourself. You can also record yourself on Zoom. That's a lot of work to me to be trying to do a story. But if you really are like a type A and you want to be a perfectionist, which I don't recommend, then just find a way to practice on a platform where you have zero followers. Okay. The other thing is realize that you are way tougher on yourself than anyone else. Guys, trust and believe for me to be able to go live on this page, I mean, go live on Team Made for More, go live on Journey to Health and Happiness, go live on what else did I go on live? 3-day challenge page, go live for Tuesday tip, then have to do posting, then do stories in Facebook Messenger. Guys, I'm not an expert at all. But when I tell you, once I will feel like, oh, I sounded like an idiot. And then I'll go and listen to the playback every now and again, and I'll be like, oh, that wasn't that bad. You yourself feel like, oh my gosh, I'm stumbling over my words, but that's because you're in your head about what you want to say. Well, other people aren't in your head, so they don't know what you were going to say anyway. So you're always your own worst critic. Just be kind to yourself. Like give yourself a break because you are honestly going to be the toughest person on yourself than anybody else. Okay. You also really need to focus on your why. Like, why are you doing this? Okay. If you have a strong enough why, you're going to get over your fear and you're going to pull your big girl panties up. Sorry, guys. Your breeches, whatever you call them for men, your boxers, you're gonna pull them up and you're gonna be like, okay, I got to do the right thing, and I have to do this for my family. I wanted my life to change, and so the pain of staying the same was greater than the pain of change for me. Okay. The pain of staying the same was greater than the pain of change. Okay. I did not want to stay in the same position I was in 7 years ago. So I got over this pain of change and I focused on I got to get over the fear, and I got to do I got to do what is necessary for me to build the life of my dreams. So focus on your why. Allow yourself to be imperfect, y'all. It's impossible to be perfect if you constantly feel like that. And also, newsflash, y'all, this is one of the biggest tips that someone told me. They said, if you're always perfect, then no one's going to want to follow you because they're never going to feel like they can be you. They're never going to feel like they can do what you do if they feel like everything you do is so perfect. So it's a lot of times you need to not take yourself so seriously. I love people that are self-deprecating more than anybody. People that are self-deprecating, it's so easy to look at them and listen to them because they're like, they don't take themselves too seriously. So if they say something wrong, they're like, oh, excuse me. Like what I did a 3-day challenge video today. I bumped my arm on bumped my arm on the box, the 3-day challenge box. And I didn't like feel like, oh gosh, I gotta stop the video. It was horrible. I just kept it moving, right? So really allow yourself to be imperfect. Embrace your weak points. And at the very least, ladies, I'm talking to my ladies now. I know for me, I feel better when I put on a little bit of lipstick. Okay. It just makes me feel better. Okay. You may not be a makeup person, that's totally fine. But if you feel more confident when put on a little bit of powder, put on a little bit of blush, do that or just use a good filter. Okay. But just start doing it. Okay. The other thing that people ask a lot of time is what percentage of followers should my story views be at? And what is considered normal? It's about 10%. Okay. We're going to talk about if you're not getting that level of viewership, what some things you might want to change. So if you have 1,000 friends, you should have about 100 people watching your post. Okay. Looking at your stories. I mean, excuse me. So if you have 3,000 friends, you should have about 300 people, at least at the beginning of your story. Because you know how people look at the first story more than they look at all the rest of them? They'll look at that first one and they may not continue. The goal is to keep them continuing. So maybe you want to figure out what order you should do your post. I'll give you an example. Um, I My husband he's crazy. And he saw me working out on the spin bike the other day, and he took a video of me on the spin bike. I mean, it was kind of creepy because he was like, "Oh, you look good, girl." And so he took a picture of me on the spin bike. Okay. And so I just kind of was like, you're nuts, you're crazy. But then he sent me the video. Don't know why he sent me the video because I didn't even ask for it. So I was like, let me put this in my stories. What happened to be my first clip of my stories for the day. Ended up getting like 350, 400 views on that. And it's because people were just like probably laughing at me being on the spin bike. Either I didn't know what I was doing and they thought it was funny, or they were like, oh, Robin's spinning, whatever. But that got a ton of viewership. Okay. It was well over 10%. All right. So just make sure that you're thinking about those things strategically. Okay. If all of your first clips are the plexus clips, you may want to change that up, put them in the middle. Okay. Sometimes make them at the end, but you want to get people reeled in to watching your stories. And if you always have the first stories or the only stories or plexus stories, then guess what? People are going to tune out. Okay. So you want to make sure that you kind of keep people's curiosity piqued. Okay. Also, just posting multiple posts a day lower engagement. It's only going to hinder you if your posts aren't valuable. So one thing I see a lot of people doing when they start posting on Facebook and they're all into the business, like they're like, I want to do this, I want to make this happen, but they're not really huge into social media yet. They're kind of getting their feet wet, or they're just getting used to really being strategic on social media because they're now using social media as a marketing tool. A lot of times people will just be checking a box. And I can tell those people on our team that just check a box. It's like, don't post just for the sake of posting. Like, post something that's going to add value. Post something that's going to make a difference. Does it take time and is it work? It is. I can't even lie and tell you that it's not, that it's easy. It's not. But it is such an amazing way to reach people that you would normally never know. 98% of the people that join me now 7 years later are people I don't know. I don't know them. They are not in my close sphere of influence. Okay. Those people have already tried Plexus, or they never want to, because the people that are close to you normally the last ones to join you. Right. And so just know that if you are posting multiple times a day, just make sure that what you're posting is valuable. Okay. The other thing is, people ask, well, what do you do if your engagement is down? Okay, so let's just say that you just heard me say, oh, in my stories or my posts, I'm not getting likes in my stories. Less than 3% of people are looking at my viewing my stories, and not 10. Some suggestions for you then would be to change up some of your content. Okay. go and audit your social media feed, whether it's your Instagram feed, your stories, your Facebook feed. Go audit it. I do this all the time with my level ones when I coach them. Okay. I look at what they're doing in their social media feed. So change up your content a bit. Go and look at the things. Go look at the things in your social media feed that get the most traction. And newsflash, the things that usually get the most traction are posts that are personal, posts that share some sort of vulnerability, posts that are yours and not just copied and pasted. Those are the ones that most of the time will get the most traction. Also, when you post a clear single picture, okay? And I know, and I'm guilty of this, y'all. There are times that, oh my gosh, I took 10 great pictures at this event, or I took 10 great pictures outside in the snow with my kids. And sometimes those won't, even though, the pictures are good, a lot of times those posts won't get as much traction as one single great picture. Okay. And the reason why is because people are literally, you have to imagine when people are on social media, what they're doing. They're either, where are they all? They're probably in bed. Y'all can unmute yourself and help me out here. Where are people normally? Like when people are looking at social media, where are they? What are they doing? What's the setting most of the time for people?
On the toilet,
On
Oh,
the
Lord.
couch.
On the toilet, on the
In the
couch,
bed.
in
And
the
working
bed,
from
right?
home or in the office, scrolling.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, we know because we're the people doing it too, right? And so when we are literally just sitting there mindlessly scrolling on social media, guess what captures your attention the most? The one big, beautiful, vivid photo. Okay. Instead of 6 or 7 photos or 33 photos or whatever, or one bad foggy photo or really grainy photo. Okay. So your images do matter, y'all. Okay. So if you can, figure out what's going on with your phone if you're taking grainy photos. Try to take some crystal clear pictures. Go look on YouTube how to make better, how to create better photos on your phone. There's tons of stuff out there, y'all. Tons of stuff. Crop your pictures, focus on one subject. Don't have a bunch of crap in the background, messy bed in the background, all that stuff. Is there a time for real life photos? Yes, y'all. Yes. Okay. Because you want to actually look human. Okay. So you don't want everything to be picture perfect, but that is what captures people's eyes. Okay. The other thing you want to do is change up the type of post that you have. Okay. This is related to IG, the reels, the carousels, IGTVs, all that good stuff. I'm not going to even focus on that because A, I'm not as educated on that. But two, I'm not going to focus on that because again, about this almost 80 people that are on this call, most of you are still fairly new to your Plexus business. And so in my mind, most of you still need to be working your Facebook feeds because that's where your warm market is. Your warm market is people that you physically know yourself. Like they're people that you actually have met before and you know who they are and you have a relationship with them. You may want to think about try posting more or less. So look at what you're doing. If you're posting once a week, y'all, it ain't gonna get it. Okay, you got to do more. Okay, I say minimum you should be posting twice a day. You should be posting one thing about health and wellness or one thing about Plexus. It doesn't have to always be Plexus, but it could be health and wellness. It could just be a personal post that's about you. It could be a story, a testimony, but also you should be posting something inspirational, something motivational, something like just funny that's happening in your life, something real life that's relatable. Like right now, Snowmageddon's happening with everybody, with so many people in so many parts of the country. That's a real life thing. People should be posting about that, right? Because that's what people can relate to. Also think about, and some of you may be having the opposite problem. You may post 3 or 4 times a day, or maybe you'll post at 7 o'clock and then you'll post again at 8:30. And it's like, oh, but Robin, something else happened at 8:30. And you don't have to post real time. Nobody knows that it's not real time, right? You don't have to do that. Okay. So posting at 7 and then 8:30 and then 10 o'clock, that's a big no-no because then you start competing with your own post. Okay. That's a thing. You can compete with yourself. And then the algorithm is confused. It's like, well, 3 people liked her post at 7:30, but then now she's posted something else. And so it's got the algorithm confused. So do not post 2 like back-to-back posts in just an hour or so. It's very good to let your post get traction. Okay. Allow your post to get some traction. And the best thing is if you post something and it gets like 100 likes or more, 75, not even that many. If it just gets 50 likes, let that post lie. You don't need to post anything else for the day. Let that one lie and come back tomorrow and start fresh. Okay. Because the more engagement you can get on that post, because guess what, guys? If you've got a lot of traction, whether it's a Plexus post or not, and you've got 50 likes or 35 likes or whatever on a post, you need to be going and engaging those people that are commenting. I see so many people, they'll post something and they have a bunch of comments, but they never go back. And you don't have to go back and comment at that exact time, but you need to go back and comment, because that's what allows Facebook to really see that you are engaging people in real time, I mean, in real life, and you're not a robot. And they're like, okay, well, the whole point of Facebook is engagement. So now that I see that Cheryl is engaging with Corey, well, I'm gonna put Cheryl's post in Corey's newsfeed more because I see her in really engaging this person. And better yet, if you take it into Messenger. If you start messaging, if you start commenting on or replying to their comments on your post, and then you go back and take it to Messenger and you say, thank you so much, blah, 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 you start a whole nother conversation in Messenger. Well, guess what? That person's going to start being in your feed all the time, and you're going to start showing up in their feed all the time. And that's the whole purpose, right? Because we make so many assumptions, especially when you're new to doing something like this. I remember when I first started Plexus, I would post and I'd be like, well, I post, but I only had 10 likes. And it's like, you have to understand, if you have 1,000 friends on Facebook, there might be 100 people that even see your post. So you're thinking, I posted and 1,000 people should have seen it. Your post is not going in 1,000 people's feeds. Does that make sense? So you've really got to understand the algorithms to really know why I'm saying to do some of these things. The other thing you want to do is, if you're not getting a lot of engagement, try posting at different times. Personally, I see someone on our team, she gets lots of traction and engagement on her post. It's Candy. Candy posts really early in the morning every morning, and that works for her. Like, that just really works for her. That doesn't necessarily work for me. She's Eastern time, so it seems real early, even though it's not super early. But I've noticed, some people, they just get a lot of traction with certain times a day that they post. So you got to figure out what's a good time for you. There are specific times. I don't remember exactly the times, and I know I've done a post about that in years past, whether it's been Leading with Excellence or Made for More. So go search like Facebook post or Facebook posting, or just search postings. Do some of those searches in one of the pages, and I've done posts before where it says that the peak time to post, peak engagement times to post on Facebook. Also, use different CTAs. CTAs is calls to action. Okay. So if you're never doing a call to action post, or call to action in your stories, call to action to me is a poll. Every single time I talk about Plexus, I have a poll at the end. But I also always do non-Plexus related polls. Okay. So today I did a poll, or yesterday I did a poll I did some sort of post about one of the organizations that our company donated to through our diversity, equity, and inclusion group that we have. And we donated to a really great organization called the George Pocock Rowing Foundation. It was based on this documentary called Most Beautiful Thing. If you haven't seen it, go look at it. It's amazing. And we have something really cool coming up next month that will be about that documentary and the person who the documentary is based on. But I posted I posted about, the documentary is great, it's great to, help your kids to understand about social issues. And I said, but I had to give a caveat, like, there's cursing in this, so, you may want to watch it beforehand if you plan on letting your kids watch it. And I was like, I choose to watch it. I mean, I chose to have my kids watch it. But then I did a poll in the story that said, I cringe when I hear other people curse, even though I cuss a little in front of my kids. And so I just asked, like, do you have the same issue? Do you curse a little, but you get mad, or you are real protective when you hear other people cursing, or you see cursing or hear cursing on TV? And so that was a non-Plexus poll, got lots of engagement. So that makes people want to answer my other polls in the future when I'm not just asking about Plexus. Does that make sense? The other thing is, you want to incentivize engagement. Okay. So every now and again, you don't need to do this all the time. I definitely don't do it all the time. Like, the top comments win a prize. Ebony Gator did something really good like this, probably around, she did something last month, I think, for a planner or something. She gave away something. I've given away books before for our book studies, things of that nature. That type of engagement really adds value to the people in your feed. But it also just, it keeps your funnel full, because it's people that you can constantly be engaging with. And it doesn't have to, this isn't gay engagement only about plexus. That's what I want you guys to understand. It's not a, oh, I do this and then this immediately happens. It's a building rapport over time type of thing. Does that make sense? Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna finish off by letting you guys know about 5 different things, 5 different mistakes that people make on Instagram. Okay, so one of the biggest things is and I've been guilty of this, failing to pick one niche. And when we say one niche, we mean one niche. So I'll use another one of our leaders as an example. Angela Webb, she's probably been on Instagram longer than, she's definitely been on there longer than me, but she's been on there longer than a lot of people on our team. And her niche is style. Okay. So while she talks about health and wellness and she talks about other things in her feed and her Instagram, on Instagram, she talks more about style. And now that she built a new home, she talks a little bit more about, her home and all of that. So she's kind of a style person on Instagram. That's her niche on Instagram. Okay. Some people, your niche is going to be, hey, I'm going to post all my healthy recipes. Or maybe Renee Ansick, her niche, I don't know that it is because I don't follow a lot of people on Instagram because I'm just not on Instagram that much, honestly. But maybe Renee Ansick's niche is baking because she's an amazing baker. She does all these really cool things with baking with her and her daughter. And so find your niche. Okay. The more diverse your content is, the tougher it's going to be. And the reason why this is only the case on Instagram and not on Facebook is because, again, what did I say earlier? Instagram, you are trying to draw people in that you do not know. You're basically trying to expand your network and expand your reach on Instagram. That's why a lot of people, I advise them to focus on Facebook more, because until you run through your whole entire warm market, people you actually do know, there's no real reason to just get all discombobulated with all the things that you've got to do and think about as it relates to IG. It doesn't mean you don't post on IG, but you can just kind of do what I'm doing. I'm still going through my warm market on Facebook and I'm 7.5 years in. So that's the reason why I don't focus that much on Instagram. I do post in there almost every day because I post basically the same content I do is in Facebook, but I have not really determined a niche yet, right? And that's why I don't have the thousands of followers that, some people say I probably should have at the stage in the game that I am in my Plexus business. So, but do whatever you feel is best. The other thing is not posting enough. Okay. The more you post, guys, the more opportunities you have to grow. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make on IG and on Facebook. They literally post once every 4 or 5 days or once every 3 days. And guys, it's just not enough. Someone told me when I first started Plexus, they were like, Robin, your social media now is your open sign. Like, if you bought a physical store, if I went and bought a bath bomb store, okay, and my bath bomb store, I wanted people to come in, but people never really knew that it was open because I never had my lights on and I never had a open sign in front of my door, in the front of my door. It's the same thing as your social media. Okay. So we don't have a physical storefront, right? We clearly don't. But what do we have? We have social media. So if your social media is your storefront and you only post, and some people, they post every 3 or 4 days, but they're still not even posting about Plexus. They're posting about, they went out to dinner. So some of you are like, oh, I'm posting, but you're not even talking about the thing that you're really wanting to get people to see, which is health and wellness, new lifestyle change, weight loss, inflammation decrease, gut health repaired, blood sugar balance. If you want people to see those things because that's what's going to draw them to what you're selling, your product and your business opportunity, then you have to be putting it out there consistently. So you should be posting at least 1 time a day to your feed. And the reason why I say 2 is because until you really build up a following of people know I'm the Plexus girl. Okay. There's no doubt about it. Everybody that knows me knows that. Okay. Unless I'm in front of new people. I am in front of new people every day. So that's not even a true statement. But if you have not completely built a rapport that you're the health and wellness guru out of your people in your feed, then really need to be posting at least twice a day, because you don't only want to post about Plexus stuff or health and wellness. You've got to also show that you have a real life, because you can't bomb at Plexus on people. Okay. Number 3 is posting all about me content. Okay. So when you're only posting selfies and the selfies are only about you, like when I say selfies and there's no content to it, it's just like you're just posting, hey, look at me, I'm in my car, I look cute. Or if you're only posting about your vacations, or you're only posting about your pets, you're only posting random family pics, it's always about you. You've got to create value and create content that adds value to people. So only your friends and family care about that stuff. That's the reason why. And Instagram is not going to work. It sometimes will work a little bit on Facebook, a little bit, just because Facebook is a lot more laid back and it's a lot more relational because it is people you know. But I still say in both categories and in both social media platforms, Instagram and uh, Facebook, you always need to be thinking about adding value, adding value, adding value. Okay. So the next thing I want to share with you, and one of the final things, is number four. A big mistake that people make is that they sell. They're constantly selling instead of serving. Okay. So one of the biggest reasons, and I just keep using this example with you guys because you are probably mostly all friends with me on Facebook, or you've seen some of my posts. So I share with you this personal example, but we're in this month, like this is recent. So one of the things that I've done this month is I chose to take the time to really, and this has been a lot of work because it's a lot of research I have to do, but I've chosen to post every day a Black History post. Well, newsflash, I'm a minority, I'm Black, and I also really have a passion for racial reconciliation. So I made a decision that I wanted to serve my people in my newsfeed in this way this month. Okay. That may not be your passion. That may not be your thing. You may not care about that much. That's fine. But you may care about something else. Start serving people in that way. Okay. So I'm not wanting to replicate and say, hey, do what Robin does. I want you to do what is comfortable for you and what you're passionate about. Maybe your big thing is that you really love yoga, then post about that. Educate people about that. Maybe your newfound passion is this intermittent fasting thing we've been doing. Some of you have never done intermittent fasting before January, and now you're doing now because of our intermittent fasting challenge. You did it and you had great results, and you were like, "Hey, this really is not that hard." Guess what, y'all? There's a lot of people that don't know about intermittent fasting, so maybe that should be the thing that you start serving people information. Maybe your passion now is Enneagram. We did a big Enneagram study years ago. If you've never, a couple years ago, not years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, we did, it was probably 2 years ago, we did an Enneagram study. Some people on our team, they literally went crazy over the Enneagram because it's transformational. Like it can change your life. It can change your relationships and change the way you view people, change the way that you view the lens through which you view the world will change if you really read the Enneagram. It's called The Road Back to You. It's a great book, highly recommended. And when people read that book on our team, when we did this book study, some people were really like, man, this is awesome. This is amazing. Let that be your thing, but you've just got to figure out a way to serve people and stop selling. When you're willing to give people advice, add value for free, then guess what? When they're ready and when it's time for them, because guess what? Newsflash, everybody has a gut. There is going to be a time that someone is going to come to you. I'll give you a prime example. I just signed two people up last week. One person I signed up, I don't know from Adam, would never know him if I saw him, in a lineup or walking down the street in my neighborhood. But I have a cousin by marriage who has been looking at my posts for 7 years. She's never tried Plexus. She's hemmed and hawed and acted like she was going to try, but she never has. And her dad was talking to her the other day. It was actually not her dad, it was her stepdad. Her stepdad was talking the other day about him needing to lose 50 pounds. He really needs to get healthy. He really needs to do some things differently with his health. And guess what? She's never taken Plexus a day in her life. But what did she do? She went and told her stepdad, hey, you may want to try Plexus. This person that's in my family by marriage, I don't know what she said my name or not, but she recommended me is my point. And this man was literally choosing between Herbalife and Plexus. And she messaged me one night last week and said, hey, my stepdad is interested in Plexus. Um, can you reach out to him? This is his information. I said, sure, I'll reach out to him. Reached out to him literally the next day. Actually, I had her set up the appointment. I said, hey, ask your stepdad if he's available tomorrow at 10. I was very specific. Okay. Wasn't like, oh, willy nilly. Oh, well, get back to me when you can. I was like, tell me if your dad is available at 10 a.m. tomorrow. She messaged him or texted him. He said, yes. She messaged me back. She said, yeah, he's available. Here's his phone number. Bye. She ain't she hasn't the least bit taken a Plexus product, not even a sample. But guess what? Her dad joined my team. And so This is always, always about serving and not selling. And five, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is comparison. I cannot tell you how many times people start a journey like this and they look at my chapter 20 and they compare it to their chapter 2. And they're like, oh man, I'm just not having the success that this chick is having, or I'm just not doing all the things this person's doing. And oh my gosh, their pictures are amazing. And oh my goodness, how do they come up with all these great words? And oh my word, like how in the world, where'd they get this camera phone from? Like all these things that we do to compare ourselves. And it's just like, you do you, okay? Comparison is literally the thief of joy. You've got to stop looking to your left and look to your right, and you've got to get tunnel vision on what you're doing and why you're doing. That's why your why is so important. And comparing yourself really honestly is going to lead to a lack of creativity because you're going to get so stifled in your head that you're not even know what to post, which newsflash means you're probably not going to post anything at all. You're going to have decreased motivation, you're going to have feelings of inadequacy or even sometimes jealousy of other people who have success. And guys, guess what? We have a team and I've created a culture where we're going to share in each other's joy. We're going to share in people's joy. We're not going to be haters. Okay. And also, it really creates a distraction because you start going down these Instagram and Facebook rabbit holes of like stalking people like, well, what are they doing? And why are they doing so well? And how do they do this right? And you start this comparison game. Stop comparing yourself to others. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to open it up just 1 or 2 minutes. Like I'll take 2 questions max. Anybody have any questions that they want to ask as it relates to social media, Instagram, Facebook? I did not share everything that I really wanted to share. I probably will do a whole nother call about um, some other things that I think are really important as it relates to Instagram, but this is where I'll stop it tonight. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question for you, Summer. Thank you so or excuse me, Summer is my upline, and you're not Summer.
Oh,
Miss
my name
Keller
is Robin.
Robin, thank you so much. I have a question in regards to the products and being new. So, for someone like myself, I'm overweight and I'm encouraging people to join me on the journey without them actually seeing results in me just yet. Posting, posting, posting. At what point in time do I say, let me switch up the way that I post or the content that I post to still encourage people to join me on the journey and build my team?
Well, first is an excellent question, Kathy. Secondly, I'm just looking at your profile picture on here and you look fabulous. So you got a lot to share, boo. I don't care what weight you are.
Thank you.
Third,
Thank
third, I want to encourage you to focus on not just weight loss because I think where people get really stuck in plexus is a lot of us, we do start for weight loss. I started for weight loss, heck, okay? But we get caught up and we act like that's the only thing that Plexus has to offer. That's literally the tip of the iceberg with Plexus. There's so much more that Plexus offers people than just weight loss. So get out of your head that you're even trying to sell a weight loss product. You are really wanting to share wellness with people. Total body health and wellness. And now in this day of age, more than ever, and y'all will hear tomorrow how amazing this company is to be so cutting edge because now more than ever, people are needing to be well and people are actually admitting that they know they need to be well. Before the pandemic, a lot of us were still acting like we could just eat, McDonald's every day and go to Chick-fil-A and drive through and drink wine and do all the stuff and never exercise and eat a whole bunch of bread and carbs and act like, oh, okay, well, if it's my time, it's my time. And then COVID started taking people out and they realized, oh crap, I really got to take this seriously. This is not a game. This is not a joke. And so I really want you to focus on, Kathy, all of the things that Plexus is doing for you without any weight loss. Okay. And I'm not saying that you should not share that you're wanting to lose weight, but I don't want you to get bogged down and being in your head about that because most of the time I get people starting Plexus because they are constipated, because they have fibromyalgia, because they have back pain, because they have diverticulitis, because they have migraines because they are not active and they know they need to be active, or they have blood pressure issues or cholesterol issues. They need to get their blood sugar in balance. Those don't have anything to do with weight. They do, but they don't. You know what I mean? Because we get those things a lot of times because we're not managing our weight. But if we can focus on getting our body healthy from the inside out, the weight is naturally going to fall off. So if anything I were to say to you as far as marketing goes, because you feel like, okay, I'm doing this for weight loss, I would really angle it from this perspective that I really want, I have a goal of losing, 30 pounds this year. Let's just say it's 30 pounds. But I knew I wanted to do it the right way. I wanted to get healthy from the inside out. That needs to be what every single person on this call is marketing, not just you, Kathy. Whether you're 250 pounds or you're 130 pounds and you want to lose 10 pounds, all of us need to be marketing Plexus in that way, because that's what Plexus is. Losing weight is a byproduct of you getting your body healthy from the inside out, period. Does that make sense, Kathy?
Absolutely. Thank you for answering my question, Robin.
You're so welcome, dear. One more question? Unmute yourself. Anybody? You snooze, you lose. Go fast. I did that great of a training. No one has any questions. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. That's awesome. Okay. Well, we're good. We're done. No more questions. All right. I will post this recording just because we had so many people that said that they wanted to get on but couldn't. Y'all, please stay safe. Please also try to hop on the wellness reveal tomorrow. You will be so excited once you hear about this amazing product that's coming out. It is for everyone. And also make sure that you've got your fun Cupid red something, I don't know, to wear for our Cupid exchange on Thursday night. So we have a full week of activities going on with this team, but it's a good thing because probably no one's going anywhere because it's 1 degree outside. So y'all have a great rest of your night. Love you. Bye, everybody.
Love you too. Thank you.